And we're live. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. Will Leach he's this guy. No, this guy over here. He wrote the book Marketing to Mind States, and it's a great, hey, if you don't have this book, here it is. I have it. You should have it. Is that fear of missing out? Am I using FOMO right now? The Practical Guide to Applying Behavior Design to Research and Marketing. I read that book and the light bulb went off for me. It's because most of the marketing that I'd been designing was designed for one size fits all. But we're not. We're humans. We're different. We approach decisions in certain states of mind when we're evaluating certain solutions. And this book blew my mind. And that's why I know Will now. Will, how are you, brother?
Doing well. I'm week 2 of my vacation in lovely Branson, Missouri.
Yes, rub it in. But I'm glad you're having fun. Look at the smile you have.
I know. I just got off a phone call and I was talking all about Mindstate Marketing to a director of marketing, and she said, "I don't know what it is about Branson, but it's got you feeling good." So I was like, "All right." So I don't know. She whatever I said resonated with her, but she thinks it's Branson as opposed to my brilliance. She thinks it's Branson, but I'll take it either way. It's a good compliment.
So Will's company is the Mindstate Group, and he works with folks to help them implement the Mindstate marketing framework. And it's to help you identify emotions to connect with your clients. So if you're a marketing director, if you're in charge of your messaging for your company, this is the man to work with. So today we're going to talk about how to manage your focus and rituals to make positive life changes. This is a follow-up to our conversation last week when we got to see Will dance, because we had all this problem with technology, and yet he sat there and did it like a professional under fire.
Thank you. Yes, it's when you're out here, there are good and bad things that happen when you're out on vacation. The good part is that you get to reflect on your life and things like that, which makes great content for these last 2 shows. The bad side is you get no technology. So but it looks like we're doing okay so far. We'll make a go at it.
You're doing great. Well, I'm Steve Brown, your host, and I like to say I'm the smartest man in marketing because I get to hang out with Will Leach, and we get to talk about all this stuff that he has to offer. So how to manage your focus and rituals to make a positive life changes. Where's this coming from, Will?
Hey, I'm doing it right now. So, the idea is that life is complex and it's hard. And if we're not focused on, kind of making the best of this time we have together, you're going to have some regrets. And so a part of what I want to talk about is, certainly we talk about Mindstate marketing, how important it is to use behavioral psychology in your marketing, but it's bigger than that. It's human behavior. And so it's really, really important to also use these principles just to make your life a little bit better. And so today, I'm sitting here on week 2 of my vacation, and it dawned on me last week when I started thinking about this thing, why don't we use behavioral psychology and some of these principles that I know that work in marketing and how we can kind of help you just live a more fulfilled, happier life.
All right. So Will's living a fulfilled, happier life. He's on vacation. He got his wife and son. Okay, you guys have to get out of here and go play while I do a little work. So focus number 1.
Yeah.
Talk to us about this one, please.
So, I think in life, the first thing you need to start thinking about are the things that you focus on, and then you build rituals around the focus. So, there's lots of things you can do, and we talked about a few of them last week about, things that can help you kind of anchor your emotions. But first thing I want you to start thinking about is regularly take a mental reset. Take a day every quarter to check in on your true aspirations. That's what I'm doing right now. So I work, and I'm certainly working while I'm here in Branson, Missouri, but I took the family away, and I've taken a couple of days, certainly one day that I just went off by myself, and I wanted to do a reset. So the way I do these is that I actually want to go to nature. So I did this last year. We did a couple of these shows when I was over in Lake Tahoe, and I go to nature. Why? There's a lot of behavioral science that says that when you go off into nature without any technology and interruptions, a couple of things happen. First thing that happens is you start seeing how much smaller you are in relation to all of the world, which is actually a really important thing. Sometimes we get so absorbed in who we are that we forget that we're actually just one person on a very, very big planet. And there's this nature and the gravity of mountains and trees help us realize that. That's going to be really important to do. So I take either a half or a full day and I go off into nature, no distractions. And then what I do, and we talked about this last week, I look at my life roles. I have 6 different life roles. I'm a father. I'm also a husband. I have a spiritual role for my family. I have a company. So I have these life roles, right? I look at those life roles and I just say, hey, listen, life is complex. Things have changed in the last 3 months. I don't care who you are. Your life has gotten some kind of amount of change. So Steve, what I do is I sit there and reflect on what has changed in one of these life roles, all of these life roles, what, if anything, has changed. And then I reflect on what does that change mean? And so then what I do, the last thing I do on this stuff is once I know that change, I say, okay, here's my aspiration. 3 months ago, here's what I thought my aspirations were for my company. And now in 3 months, things have changed. How have they changed? Now let's go reflect on how to modify my aspirations for, in this case, I'm doing it here for my company. And I want to be very deliberate and very specific in what that looks like from an aspirational goal setting. So what I'll do is I will actually pull up mine. I'm not going to share it. I'll read it. I'll read you like a new aspirational goal I have for my company. Because why this is important is in the next part, we're going to talk about reflecting on that aspirational goal. So I'm going to read to you some writing that I did. So I went off a couple of days ago for half a day. I reflected on my company, Mindstate Group. And I just said, how does this all come together? What are my aspirations? And I said, my vision for Mindstate is I'm the only solution if you want to jumpstart your business by revitalizing your brand and offerings to match your customer subconscious. Personally, I'm able to work from anywhere in the world, even Branson, Missouri, to help grow businesses. I'm an advocate for these businesses, and they pay me money to help them turn their businesses around. My family is taken care of, and I use my time to be involved with Melly, that's my wife. I watch her play tennis and be more involved with Nicholas, my son, and work on my terms. I'm in complete control of my schedule, so I work out and work on myself in the mornings, run the program in the mid-afternoons, take naps, and really enjoy life. I live with passion and work on projects that interest me rather than through necessity. Our debt has been paid off, so I can have constant state of calmness in my spirit. I'm working from a place of enjoyment versus fear. And of course, then I go into specifically about my company. I'm going to bring it back over to you. But see the difference in, guys, now that I have this new I've reflected, I need to change my aspirations. And now I can visualize what that looks like. And I'm going to tell you in the next part of our conversation is why that visualization is going to help you make better decisions because you have more focus on the things that matter to you in life.
Man, I love that. If most of us, we're so busy racing from one thing to another to be able to sit down and then write something with clarity. The power that comes from that is actually more than you would expect.
Yeah, the goal line changed, right? I think the fear is some people reflect on how their life went once a year. But in business, you can't just keep doing the same thing all year. And then at the very end of the year, go, how'd I do? Of course, you make adjustments all the time. So we should be thinking about our lives in a similar way. And by being specific, it matters a lot, Steve. I mean, if you just say, I want to live a life of abundance, whatever, what does that mean? Because in the next part, I'm going to show you why that focus, that very specific things like I want to use my mornings to work on my body and read books that I want to read. That matters because in the next part, it's going to help me make better decisions based upon those new aspirations. So be specific.
So can you go over the roles again in case folks that are watching, they weren't with us last time? I think it's huge to be able to back away and see the roles that you're in so that you don't grade yourself across all domains and from one role.
Yeah. So let's take a step back. So you are a culmination of many different roles that you have for people around you and for yourself. So I have a physical role for my body. Like I have to be healthy. So I know that's a part of my life, physical. Financial is another role that I play for me and my family. Like I have to actually be able to make money and earn things. I have a spiritual role for me personally that I want to live in a good spirit and worship God and things like that. I am a father. I'm a husband. And I also have a company, right? So I have all these roles. Now you have different roles. We all have different roles. You could have 4, 6, 8, whatever. But your entire life is not just one life. Your life is composed of these different roles. And why it's important for you to look at your goals by role is if you evaluate your entire life based on how you feel in the moment. So let's say if you had a really bad day at work, for whatever reason, something happened where you had a really bad day at work. You could cause yourself to look at your life, your entire life, and think to yourself, I'm a failure. That is the wrong attitude. That is not true, because in this one specific role, you had a bad day. But what if you had a great day as a dad? Or you can now remove yourself from the role of, your company, come home and be this incredible husband or incredible wife. That's why it's so important to look at your world and your life through these roles, because now I can pinpoint where I'm not, where I'm doing well, or other areas where I'm not doing so well. And when things are going astray, I don't have to focus on my whole life. I just have to focus on a role. So it's really important for you to figure out your roles, like whether it's 6 or 4, whatever. There's lots of great books out there that can help you do it. But the idea is just to really understand that you are more than just like an amalgamation of lots of different experiences. You have these different roles, and it's important for you to build goals based upon those roles.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for covering that for us. It's so important. Even when you sit down, you write out those roles on your resets.
Yep.
What roles do you commonly find yourself in? I think that would be empowering as well. It gives you tools to see things from a positive perspective.
It's such a great point, Steve, because I have been one to do this where I focus so much on my business. It becomes my identity almost.
Yeah.
And I look up one day and this happens all the time, where you look up and your family no longer recognizes you, right? They're like, God, the guy, he's only thinking about business. That's the issue. If you don't have roles and you don't have goals based on roles, you will focus in on so much. And it's hard not to, because I love what I do. I know you love what you do. But being able to look at your goals by role matter, because now you say, Will, you've been focusing so much of your time on one role, but you have another 5 to go. What are you doing? That makes it for a horrible life where you're so focused on one thing. You let your relationships deteriorate to a point where you don't have any friends. You don't have any family members that care about you anymore. That's why it's so important to look at that.
So true. Imagine, we grow up and it's like the first thing people say, what do you do, Will? Right?
Yeah.
And so we're defined, our identity is really anchored on our occupation, but we're so much more.
We are. And every book, everyone who's happy and all these, the people who really study happiness are the first ones to tell you that if you anchor on your profession, you are in for a world of hurt. And I'm with it. It's hard for me not to do it, right? But it's because it helps us build our identity. That's how we evaluate ourselves in the world versus I'm a great dad. Like imagine saying, what do you do? I raise an incredible kid. Imagine what the look would be on somebody's face when you said that at a dinner party. But that's technically the more important thing for you, right? It's just much more important than any job we're ever going to have,
Excellent. All right. So we covered take quarterly mental resets, not just once a year.
Yep.
And now part 2 is like, all right, great. I took a quarterly reset. I wrote all this stuff down. Now what do I do with it?
Yep. Here's what I want you to do is I want you, because I read to you my aspirational goal. And that was kind of a little bit more around Mindstate, because Mindstate allows me, and my company allows me to spend more time with my family, etc. But what I want you to do is by each of these roles, look at your aspirations daily. Look at that paragraph and read it. I know it sounds monotonous. I know you're thinking, God, I'm so busy already. I'm asking you to just please look at those 5 or 6 paragraphs. Read them every day. Here's why. When you read these aspirational goals, you read them out loud. I know it's going to sound monotonous. What's going to happen is this psychology idea called priming effect. And those words, that vision that you have for that role are going to be more top of mind. Why that matters is that when something comes into your life, or you get an email, whatever, that taps into the aspirational goal, you're more likely to see it. And if you're more likely to see something that could help you reach your aspirational goal, you're going to take a decision that makes you get closer to reaching that aspirational goal. Let me tell you how this just recently happened. Last week, I was sitting there and I was thinking about Nicholas and me being a father, one of my father roles. And I have aspirations for my son and what kind of father I want to be. So here's what's happened. Since COVID-19 hit us, we used to do boys' night out before COVID-19. All of a sudden, boys' night out, every Thursday night was him and I. We got to go to a pizza place, mostly a pizza place. Well, COVID-19 happened when we couldn't go out. So all of a sudden, we got out of that ritual. We got out of it. Now I'm looking back a year later and going, we don't have that connection. We every Thursday I'd have dinner with my son, right? So what happens? I'm thinking about how can I get back into that moment, that habit. All of a sudden, an email hits my email, and I get 100 more than 100 emails a day. I'm sure you do too. All of a sudden, it was a email about Father-Son weekend at a local camp that we've done years ago, but we just kind of got out of the habit of doing. I'm like, Father-Son weekend. Oh my gosh. Bam. All of a sudden, I'm looking at Father-Son weekend. I booked us a Father-Son weekend in October. If I didn't read that aspirational goal around being a father, there is every likelihood that that email would have passed my consciousness. I wouldn't even seen that email. I would have just scrolled, click, 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 delete, 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 delete. That's why looking at your aspirational goals and reviewing them daily matters, because simple email could come top of mind. And now I've made myself a better father by planning a distinct weekend for him and me. That's why reflecting your aspirational goals daily matter. You can't do it if you're doing it quarterly. You have to look at them daily.
All right. So now we're convinced. That was an excellent example too. That your mind, if you're not taking charge, your mind's going to land and focus and spend energy on something.
Something that last week, right? On some YouTube, you watch cat videos. Like, okay, maybe, but what is that going to do for you, helping you become a better father? That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. So you're teaching it to focus on the things that bring you value instead of the maybe negative things that are designed to grab your attention. Like clickbait, you're at the mercy of clickbait if you're not driving.
Mm-hmm. It's no different than marketing, right? If we're marketing our business, why wouldn't we market to ourselves, right? So same idea.
All right. So what's a ritual? Let's talk about this ritual.
That's right. So, focus is important, right? Those things that you focus on are the things you pay attention to and the things that you will gravitate towards. But all because you have focus, this, you may not consistently go after your goals, right? That's why you need to build rituals. And we all have these rituals. We just don't know about these rituals, but you have a ritual every morning. An alarm clock goes off or something wakes you up out of bed, and you basically do the same thing again and again and again every single day. So our lives are predicated, constantly being evaluated through the lens of a ritual. So rituals matter. The first thing I want you to do is think about your rituals. And I'm not going to tell you how to set a ritual, frankly. That's up to you. What's more important to me is how do you motivate yourself to build this ritual that you're doing and then keep going again and again. And the thing I came up with was weight loss. So, I know that there are a lot of people out there that want to lose weight. So what do? They do a diet. And then what happens, or maybe they're exercising or whatever. So they have a ritual. They built in the ritual. I'm going to eat healthier, whatever. I'm going to fast, whatever it is your style of weight loss is. Then what happens is a lot of people, the vast majority of people start diets, never lose weight consistently, and then they jump off the diet. Why? Is it their goal that's wrong? No, the goal is perfectly fine. What it was is there no incentive structure to where they could know whether or not they were actually reaching their goal. So how do we do it in weight loss? Weight loss is we look at a scale. That's generally what we do. Am I losing weight or not? Guys, do you know that the scale has so much variability in it that incentive there, if you think the incentive is you losing weight, that's an incredibly difficult goal or a motivation, because scales switch all the time based on hormones and how much water you drank the day before and when's the last time you ate, etc. My point being is be very careful about what really truly motivates you. So let me and build a ritual around that. So let's talk about what I do. So I'm trying to build a new company called the Mindstate Group. And really a big part of this in this new world is me being able to sell. It's a totally different world than I'm used to, right? Because I'm used to working with bigger corporations. And now we're talking about really selling things. So I need to figure out my goal, which is to sell to smaller businesses. How do I do that? The old way of selling that I talk to corporations like PepsiCo or whatever, that doesn't apply. So I have to learn this whole brand new thing, this whole new world around sales. And the way I like to do it, what incentivizes me, is not the money that I get from a sale, though I'm sure that's incredibly important to me. It's actually more important that I want to become a better salesperson, because there's a competence idea. Like, I just feel like it's new, it's exciting. I want to learn how to sell better, how to really talk to clients in a brand new way. And if I do that, I actually feel better about myself. I get some esteem, motivation. So the reason why I tell you that is I want to build incentive structures into a ritual to help me become a better salesperson. So if I incentivize myself on money, that to me is not as engaging as me being incentivized by, I want to understand the behavioral science behind selling, one-to-one conversation. So I'm studying that because I love competence or mastery over something. It's just something that motivates me intrinsically. So therefore, as I'm trying to become a better salesperson, the way I'm incentivized, the emotions that drive me is about competence, being smarter at it, being smarter, studying the behavioral sciences of it. And that's what gets me up. So I build rituals around that. I don't sit there and watch YouTube videos about how to do the latest sales technique. I study the behavioral sciences because that helps motivate me becoming a master at something. So that's a very easy example of how if I don't understand what really motivates me, that I could build incentives that don't create rituals that are meaningful enough for them to become habits.
Yeah, what you're doing is it's consistent with the theme in your book. So usually we try to find a one-size-fits-all solution for a common problem. We all have we all wrestle with the same challenges: motivation, self-esteem, focusing on the right things. But the issue is there's not one size that fits all. So I love that this conversation is talking about figuring out what fits for you using the principles in your book.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a great point, Steve, that I didn't even talk about. Like, I always forget to talk about my book, but thank you for doing that. There are only 9 of these motivations. So go to the book and find which of those 9 for that role or whenever, for that, whatever goal you have is most motivating to you, and then build an incentive structure. Mine is competence. So I get to buy books and read about behavioral psychology because that gets me motivated. I know it's corny, but that's what gets me motivated around my business is the mastery of it, the learning of it. For you, it could be something totally different. Find that and build that into your incentive structure, and you'll do much better.
All right. So we're talking about how to manage your focus and rituals to make positive life changes. So what's ritual number 2, Will?
Ritual number 2 is, and I talk about this, and I am starting to become a firm believer around gratitude. So, if you read any book out there that talks about what are the habits of the most successful billionaires and even trillionaires, I guess pretty soon, right? The most successful billionaires out there say the same thing. They meditate in some way. They pray, they meditate, they do something to get away from all the kind of hassles of the world. And the second thing they do is they use gratitude journals. And I know it sounds corny to some of you. I get it. Like, a gratitude journal, why? I am telling you, this ritual will start your day in a way that makes you feel just so excited to kind of get into your day. Why? It's because you're removing yourself out of your life for a minute and just saying, what am I really happy about? What am I grateful for? So here's what I do. And you can do it any way you want, but I hear it's basically the same thing. What I want you to do is take out a journal. You could do a video if you wanted to. Some people actually do it online. There's apps that do this for you. But basically, just think to yourself, what am I grateful for? And just come up with 5, or actually I do less than I do 3 a day. And it's the only reason I do this is I want to reflect on the good things that are happening in my life. Because if you're only thinking about the bad things, you're always thinking about the struggle, life is really tough. So here's what I do. My ritual is every morning, I think about what can I be grateful about yesterday, just one day before. And guys, that could be really tough because days sometimes are really tough. I get it. But what is one thing you can be grateful for? That you made it through the day, or that you're able to have lunch by yourself, or whatever that is. But be grateful for something that just happened yesterday. That creates an immediacy. Like, what can you reflect on that was great yesterday? The second thing I do is I say, what am I most grateful in this life stage? So I've been in a couple of different life stages. I was in the military for a while. I was kind of young and single and starting my career for a while. I have a married life stage, and then I have a family life stage now. So what I like to do is whatever life stage I'm under right now, what am I grateful for? And that gives me like a 10-year window, right, of things that I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful for the very first time that me and Nicholas did a father-son weekend. I'm very grateful for the fact that I left corporate America and started my own company when I was scared to death to do that. I'm really grateful for that. So whatever that thing is, and try to come up with something new every day. But think about what that life stage you're in, what you can be grateful for. And lastly, life itself. That's a little bit more esoteric, but I think through things like how happy I am that my parents separated. I know it sounds weird, but I'm happy. I'm grateful that my parents separated, because when my parents separated, I moved to South Florida. And because I moved to South Florida as a young child, I got to live with my grandparents and I got to experience life there in a way that I'm so grateful that I got to spend the greatest part of my life, being raised by my grandparents and my mom, right? Being grateful for things in life too. So I go yesterday, something a little more 10 years in, and something in life. If I just write those things down, I actually do it audio. I do it on a voice recorder. It just gets that energy out, and it gets me excited about, like, if I'm grateful for those things, I have things happening in my life every day that are benefiting me, then I'm grateful for those. It just sets up my day to start off like excited, motivated, and to kind of get through some of the less than ideal days.
Will, I'm grateful for you. If you're listening and you're grateful for Will, give us a like on there. All right. Let's see if we can get. Let's just one like. So I love it, Will. This is excellent. So we create this ritual where we focus on some positive gratefulness and do that every day. We start to get in this ritual. So how rituals will help us be in the driver's seat. Speaking of being in the driver's seat, we got some questions that we want you to answer. Some folks have submitted questions. I think they're really good ones. We got to Will, someone out there in the internet world is grateful for you. So look at you putting in your effort.
Good.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Do you think psychology should be used in business?
It's a softball. Yes, that's what I do every day. I talk about psychology in business. Guys, the reason why psychology versus data analytics versus all the other things you'd be focusing on is this. Psychology is the number one point of competitive advantage you have, bar none. Why? It builds empathy. Thank you, Eddie. It builds empathy. And empathy matters because in the world where technology removes us from people, empathy, the amount of kind of intuition you have for your customer will help you make better decisions on their behalf. And those decisions that you make on their behalf will make your company stronger because they will buy from you. You cannot build empathy without understanding the psychology of your customer, the mind state of your customer. That's why marketing to mind states, understanding some of these mind states is so important, because without this deep psychological understanding of what drives your customer, you're always going to be in a state of kind of throwing things up at the board and hoping that they hit. So absolutely, psychology is incredibly important for any business. I don't care what business you're in. It's incredibly important for you to be using psychology to your advantage.
I love it. That's excellent. Will, I think you need to stay in Branson because you're bringing this energy that's just this positive, grateful energy. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I was on water parks yesterday. Maybe I had a lot of chlorine in my system. I was on water parks all day yesterday, riding rides with the boy.
All right. Question number 2. Who is the audience that might benefit most from psychological insight into marketing and brand building?
Yeah. So I think first off, all businesses can benefit, but this is asking for a ranking almost. Here's what I would say. I would say first off, if you are a business owner and you're writing your own marketing and you're kind of just an entrepreneur in general, that's going to be really useful. So I think if you're a business owner, second thing comes to mind is a coach. If you're some sort of a coach, whether you're a life coach or you help people get out of debt or anything like that, where you're helping people one-to-one, I think this stuff really matters. It can be very, very helpful for you. I'm certainly a big fan of agencies and people who create marketing. Those people absolutely can benefit from psychological insights because they're the ones who build marketing and build brands. Consulting firms is another one. I do more consulting, and I think consulting firms are really important if you're going to help consult companies on how to grow their business using behavioral sciences. Makes sense. And then lastly, I'm going to go back to the group that I used to be in, which were brand marketers for the big brands. Like if you are running a brand right now, you work for, Kimberly-Clark or, PepsiCo or Coca-Cola or whatever, then this stuff will benefit you as well because you're building brands for the purpose is to grow with a new customer base. So understanding people's psychology will help you do that. So those are the ones that come to mind.
Excellent. So this next question, I guess this one's coming from maybe one of your students. These folks that are listening and submitting these questions, they must be really intellectual. You're hitting a whole different audience than most folks here will. Yeah. All right, ready? Since Walmart uses a team of psychologists to study customer behavior, do you think other businesses should do the same?
So first off, I don't know if Walmart uses a team of psychologists, but I do know this, that a couple of years ago, they bought a company out in San Francisco that was focused on behavioral sciences, and it was a data company. So I do know that they have data scientists at Walmart. And I will tell you right now, let's just get this out on the table. Every major company in the US has a team of behavioral scientists or people at least studying the topics that we talk about at their company, because I'm working with them. I mean, you have people at Coca-Cola. These are all, Google, Amazon, Uber, Walmart. They all have people that are studying behavioral sciences. Why? Because that is the new thing that finally is solving how to grow businesses. It's using behavioral science. It's understanding the human mind and how people work. So I'm going to first tell you that, yes, they already have. Every major company has it. And now these sciences are trickling down to mid-tier companies. So it's not just for the big boys anymore, guys. Behavioral science is for everybody. It's just too easy to get to the topics now. You can go on YouTube to find stuff on behavioral science. There's lots of books. I have a book. There's lots of books out there. There's lots of models out there. So if Walmart's doing it, it's really critical to know that every company's doing it. And if every company is doing it, you should be doing it too, because they're getting a point of competitive difference against you. The only way you're going to be able to compete against these big companies, and I know every day how difficult it is because I compete against those same companies, you have to at least, at a minimum, act like them and do it better than them. And frankly, you can, because you're designing it for your company. You're not designing it for a company and a CEO that you don't even know. So absolutely important for you to use it. Walmart does something in this space, so should you.
So the problem with us little guys, we can't hire a team of scientists. I mean, they won't even talk to me, right? Much less I'm able to pay for them. But you know what I can do? I can get this book, Marketing the Mindstates, the Practical Guide to Applying Behavior Design to Research and Market. I can read backwards too, by the way.
Amazing, man.
That's how this book made me so smart. So yes, get this book because you can start to take advantage of all the data, all the reasoning, all the science behind it and apply it to your situation.
That's right.
All right. So last thing, tell us a little bit about your Mindstate marketing course.
That's right. So like just what you just said, Steve, right? That you may not be able to hire a team of behavioral scientists to study consumer behavior, integrate those in your company, but you don't have to. Frankly, the work's been done. So we have a Mindstate Marketing Masterclass. What this Masterclass allows you to do is, for a very low price point, is actually spend 8 to 12 hours with me via video for a do-it-yourself application, how to bring the principles of behavioral science and behavioral psychology to your business. So what you do is you have download these videos, and there's a series of activities that you do throughout these videos. And as you're doing these activities, I'm going to introduce you to a company where I did the same activity to help grow their business from literally an invention all the way to a brand new brand that's growing at 20% a year. It's called Wicked Crisps. You can kind of look at them online. So the Mindstate Masterclass is a do-it-yourself option. If you're just looking to take the principles of the book and go deeper into those principles and apply those things to your business, you should go to mindstategroup.com and look at the Masterclass.
Yes, excellent. Mindstategroup.com. Will, I'm serious. You just need to stay in the car and, I don't know, just throw a dart at your map and go to that state, get set up for the next Mindstate Marketing Hour.
Well, I would do that for you, buddy, but I can't wait to get home. I miss Louie. We haven't seen Louie in 2 weeks. He's not jumping up on the table. So it's time to go see Louie the cat. I miss that guy.
All right. Well, another great episode of Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. Be sure to go get Will's book. I'm serious. It's an excellent book, and it's perfect for not only your business, but applying these things to your relationships as well in your personal life. You can learn more at themindstategroup.com. The Mindstate Marketing Blueprint offers a framework to identify emotions to connect with your clients. And as we talk about, not everyone's in the same, there's not a one size fits all. And his book helps you apply the appropriate solution. So, Will, so you're heading back to Texas. We're going to we'll be having our time together next Thursday at the usual bat time on the same bat channel.
Yep. Thank you for being. Yesterday, I had to do the water slides with the boy yesterday. Everybody, so sorry that we weren't on the same time. But we're back to our normal hour on Thursdays and a normal day. So looking forward to seeing everybody then.
All right, over and out, and then that's a wrap.